At least you have your health.
Health's not good enough.
Not everyone shares your sense of humor.
Health is wealth.
Evolv. Evolv.
We evolve through pain.
Evolv the podcast.
Andrea and Julie.
It's time to begin.
Just a quick note, this podcast does talk about some things that may raise some issues for you, and if you do have any issues, please make sure you reach out to places like Beyond Blue or Lifeline. They're there to help. On with the podcast episode.
Hello and welcome to Evolv the podcast. I'm Julie Saunders.
And I'm her friend, Andrea Waycott.
She is my friend and I love her dearly.
Yes, she does. And we are going to be talking week 3 of our 4-week Fit for Fitness challenge, because we want to be very clear. It is not about getting fit in 4 weeks. That's impossible.
Well, that's true. But it's getting your shit together in 4 weeks, because you've been telling yourself that for probably about 4 years.
48 years.
Exactly.
So, yes, we are going to talk quickly about what we have covered already in week 1 and 2, right, Jules? We're going to do a quick recap for those of you who may have missed it. Mind you, you can always go back and check out that episode.
And we suggest you do.
We suggest you do. So week 1, we covered some really important stuff. What did we cover?
Well, we covered really the basics of, like, why you're doing this. So there's why, what's going to keep you focused sort of during this journey that you've probably set yourself on before.
Yeah,
but this time
a million times.
You are going to stick to it. And then how are you going to stay on board with this? What are your incentives? Those are the kind of things that we talked about in week 1.
Yeah.
And then I think we went on to talk about goal setting, SMART goals, long-term, mid-term and short-term goals, which are super duper important if you don't have those little milestones along the way.
And you talked about starting at your long-term and then working your way back. Was that right?
Look, you can.
So many weeks ago.
I think you need to have, a bit of a vision of where you want to go.
Yeah.
And then kind of work back from there a little bit to say, okay, well, it's very difficult to, kind of set yourself up for failure if you go, okay, like, I want to look like that, or I want to be like that, or feel like that, in the future. But how do I get there? You want that kind of journey going on.
Yeah.
So those, I find that initially, whilst you want to set, those markers down, the short-term goals are kind of like essential to keep you on that path.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the path of a journey starts with a single step. So I'd imagine those first few goals. That was very philosophical, wasn't it?
I know, Confucius, it was.
Namaste.
I'm pretty sure that's where we started.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was too. All right.
Then I think we just also went on to, in week 2, kind of setting up for success, which is your kind of looking at what your daily routines kind of should be. How do you change those routines?
And you even said us a couple of little things, like just try and start moving more.
Yeah.
Which you'll be pleased to know I did.
What did you do?
I did a few walks. I even got my little iPad-addicted son out there and we walked. And what else did I do? Oh, I've got this Total Gym thing. That's that thing that Chuck Norris uses, right? I bought one secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. And now it's on my front veranda because I got nowhere else to put it. So I go out there and I do my little like rowy with my arms, and you can do like lat pulls and...
Well, that's great. So that's kind of incentivized you, which is what we kind of, we were talking about in week 1.
It's a gizmo, a gadget. I love it.
But often they're fads, and I think that's awesome that you've started that and you're doing that. But what I was sort of preaching about in week 2 is that the setting up routines, setting up routines that are weekly, that you stick to.
Yeah, it's not a regular. It's just when I've got time, I duck out there because it only takes a short amount of time. So I'm not diarising it or picking a time and a day and sticking to that, and I should be. Is that what you're saying?
Which is pretty much what I suggested that is imperative to do.
Oh.
So,
I'm always the last to the party, man. Did I not tell you that? I'm sorry.
And I think that's one of the things, that that you've raised several times before, and I think it's, which is about, I haven't got time.
Yeah, time is hard for me.
So let's just spend like a few minutes on that right now.
Yeah, okay.
So it's difficult I think for all of us.
Yeah.
To go, I don't have time. But again, that comes back to, why why am I doing this? You talked to me originally about your fitness journey, which is that you had, heart disease in the family and some serious consequences there.
Yeah.
And that you wanted to be fit, healthy, and around for your son.
Mhm.
And I think that's the case for a lot of people, whether they've experienced within the family or friends, some trauma there, and you look at your own family history.
Yeah.
And that needs to be part of your, why am I doing this? But we humans always think, oh, that's serious, but then, probably won't happen to me. And then I do get over the years, quite a few people who have come in after that trauma that have made it and are saying, I have to do something now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we don't want to do is we don't want to get to that. So for me, for you, that incentive doesn't seem to be enough.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Well, that's a question that only you can answer, and that's a question that I would send you and others away to go and analyse. If that's not enough of an incentive.
You know what it is? It's the stress.
Is?
Like I'm about to go into...
Me, my chair is sinking.
They're dodgy chairs.
This podcast is produced on a high budget.
Well, if people had given us money,
I know,
right? We would.
It has just been Halloween. Hello, I'm Nancy. All right, sorry.
No. So, like for me, this is going into the busiest part of the year, and I will be doing multiple radio shifts per day. Things change, like not every day is the same. Sometimes you then get called in last minute. You've got other things. I've got voice work. I've got family, I've got house, I've got pets, I've got horses, I've got all of these things. And I just find, I know it's only 20 minutes, but if I have to schedule that, I don't... Actually, you're probably right. If I schedule it, I might get it done.
I think in all that...
If I do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I think in all that, and only you can answer that question for you, but I think in all of that, it is my question back to, to people who sit in front of me with a similar story there, is what's your health worth? Like if it's gone, if I was to take...
ask Bupa, because they take quite a lot every month for my health.
But that is a financial backup plan.
Yeah.
Not an investment in your health.
No, that's true.
That's
the in case.
Well, that is when it happens.
But that's what insurance is for that moment when...
But you're not insuring that it's not going to happen. You're just insuring financially.
That I can go into a nice hospital.
That's right. And hope to hell they fix you up. So what I'm suggesting is the insurance that I'm asking you to take from time-wise and financially...
What if I was really honest? What if I was really, really honest? And this is so honest, I can't even be more honest. Have you ever thought life is so damn hard and everything you do is so damn hard and adds another layer of hard? And sometimes you just, like you go, maybe my dad wasn't so unlucky. 49, just like that, didn't have to worry anymore, didn't go through any hospital trauma, long-term illness. He just popped off like that. Wonder if that's the worst thing that could happen to us.
Well, I mean, I get there's a lot.
That's a bit too honest.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in that. And what I guess I would say to you is, if you have a look at your son, is that what you would want for him?
No, but I know he's wonderful. He'll have great memories of me and he has a wonderful father. So, no, I know that that's not what he would want, and I know...
I think here it's, without unpacking that, because we need to call in a psychologist.
I know.
But I get what you're saying. Because there's a lot of pressure on us now, and I think
I feel like
come
crying
back to
just talking about.
I get it.
How hard sometimes.
I get it.
Shit is.
I get it.
Yeah.
And for various reasons, I do have actually people sit in front of me. I've had people who, are struggling to, conceive a child. I've had people who are struggling financially. It's people who are struggling with, eating disorders. And
I know, and I sound like such a whinger because I don't have those issues.
I think that it doesn't necessitate to have a large issue like that, but you do. You have heart disease in the family, so there is a need. There is a potential stress there, and I think as humans, sometimes we just don't want to address that. and it's a tricky thing. When you've got those sort of things going through your mind, sometimes it's easy to go, I just don't want to deal with that.
I just start to go, it's too hard to tackle some of the big mountains when you're already halfway up another mountain. Like, to look at the next mountain, you go, oh my God, I haven't even got to the top of this one, and I have to add the stress of another mountain ahead of me.
And I
don't know how to get into that frame of mind.
I do understand.
Yeah.
So where I sit there when I have people with those sort of things in front of them, where the whole thing is overwhelming and they don't really like exercise.
No, and I
anyway.
don't. I just don't.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I don't.
What I say to them is, trust me, come on this path, trust yourself, give it a shot in the right way. And I'll take that in two pieces, where you said, it's a mountain, break it down. That's what this whole, getting prepped for fitness thing is about, that we're talking about, which is breaking it down about how we actually do this. And when I look at it too, Andrea, I think you were the one that actually said, let's break this down and come at a challenge to get prepped for fitness.
Yeah, that's just because I like a long lead into fitness.
But also that it was overwhelming to take on. Totally. So I offer breaking it down for a start. Backtracking from there a little bit, I think too that, if you're sitting there and you're feeling overwhelmed and you think, why, what the hell, it's all too hard, I say, this is a matter of giving it a chance. I have people who are already training with me or have just started and have similar issues, whether they be time or other. Yeah. 9 out of 10, and I kid you not, it's 9 out of 10 come in. I'm exhausted from the day. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. They say it straight out to you. They train with you. I'm just not into it today. Anyway, I'm here. Yeah. So for me, it's a matter of you get into it, positive frame of mind, perhaps annoyingly so from my side. But I honestly, 9 out of 10 of those people will say at the end of it, I actually feel like I'm awake now. Yep. So I had someone say that to me this week. Yep. I feel more energized. I am exhausted, but I feel so much happier.
And you know that. Like, logically, you know that.
I do. I understand.
But you sit on that couch and you go, oh, go put your runners on. Go put your runners on. Go for a walk. Go.
So it comes back to something that I've talked about before, which has resonated with me through my entire career, which is don't think, do. So when you get up to this stage where you're actually stepping forward into your training regime, it's don't think, do. If you're doing morning, you put your feet on the floor. We talked about it during this challenge, and you just move ahead. I've had people drive and tell me they've taken our gym membership, and I think I've mentioned this before during the podcast. They get to the gym, they sit in the car, and they turn the engine off. They sit there, and then they turn the engine off. I should say, and they go home. And no joke, I've had like dozens of people tell me that story, independent of each other, tell me that story. Yeah. So the incentive then comes back to your trainer. If you've got accountability, and this circles back to what you're talking about. So I said to you
because
earlier,
you don't even, and it's my fault, we live far away and everything, you can't be accountable. Like, I can't be accountable to you. You're so busy.
But it's not just about me, okay? It's not about
accountable
a
to
trainer.
myself.
So, well, yes, but what I'm saying is, what is your need? What is your what will keep you accountable? For some people, it's money. So they get a gym membership. They engage a trainer. They buy a whole lot of stuff, and therefore it's like, I have invested financially, I'm going. I mean, I'm paying for this session, so I'm going. For some people who have got money at their disposal, they don't. I say to them, I have literally said to people in the past, make a bet. In fact, I was talking to you today about it. Make a bet that if, whatever the marker is, the goal that you've set is, should I not hit that in a certain time, I have to pay this much to, someone.
You just want everyone to make deals with you and lose.
Not with me. I can't afford to lose it. So, but with someone, be it your partner, whatever it is, your children, if you have adult children, your entrepreneurial small children, if they're into it, whatever it is,
Yeah.
For those people,
Yeah.
that will trigger them. For other people, it might be, other things. That's what you've got to find. And that's why I laboured the point of, like, how am I going to do this? Why am I doing it? And how am I going to do it?
Yeah. I see what you mean. Like if you've got a holiday coming up, the incentive is, I need to look good on the beach, or I need to look better on the beach, or whatever.
Whatever it is.
But then when you've got nothing other than work ahead of you, that's so hard.
You think of a bride.
Yeah.
Right? They're incentivized.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to find, and any one of you need to find your how. How am I going to, how am I going to do this? What is it's going to keep you focused? Be the type of exercise that you're doing or whatever, but how am I going to continue?
I need to make a date with Keith Urban in like 6 months, like make a date and then be like, okay, I've got to get skinny for my date with Keith Urban. I mean, he's not going to leave Nicole for me, but
I can make that happen, but you're going to have to take on Nicole.
Yeah, no, she's scary.
She's fiery redhead.
Yeah. No, I'm not messing with the reds.
So, these things, these obstacles that you put in front of yourself for this journey, because, I've said to you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this is hard work that you're doing, but the reward is great.
Yeah, it is.
So you need to stop bullshitting yourself and actually go, okay, this is a strong enough incentive for me to actually get on board. And you talked about, how do I find time? Again, it comes back to, if what's your health worth? If I was to say, okay, you don't care, I'll take your health away.
Yeah, I get it. Then I can't earn money, which is another incentive that I do for work. Like I wouldn't probably do it if I didn't get paid.
Whatever it is, and we can come up with, a myriad of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to rationalise this, because at the moment you're spending so much energy rationalising not doing it. Flip it on its head.
I hope other people out there just understand, like have the same thoughts as me, so I'm not just this only person who just has this thing about finding the time to do it. Like I hope there's other people out there, and I'm sure there are. But I like what you're saying. I think you're right. For me personally, it will be, now it's summer, it's good to get up early in the morning. It's not cold, it's not raining, and start like a routine of getting up and walking the dog early in the morning before I'm expected to start work. And that is getting up half an hour earlier. And I can do that.
Look, and I like that. And I like that initial stepping stone. Maybe it's summer. But
then what if I've got to do a breakfast shift, 6 till 9? That throws me out, you see. Everything changes for me. So I don't know day to day.
As it does for most people, to be honest. And so you've got to say, you have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you only going to venture outside when it's sunny to work even? So if it starts raining.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I mean? It's probably a
so
silly,
I have to go
silly analogy, but
either I have to do it first thing in the morning, or if I don't do it in the morning, then I have to do it in the evening, and my work will dictate which of those it is. But that's...
And as a kick in the ass kind of comment here, it's like, seriously, find the time.
Yeah.
Find the time. You're shelling out money to Bupa, you said before.
Yeah.
And that's like an insurance policy that they can fix you.
Yeah.
Then you have an insurance policy
it's also, eyesight, teeth, everything. You got to have...
Again, rationalising. Yeah? I mean, as I said to you, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it to you guys either. It's tough, but the rewards are great. When you do start and you start feeling good about yourself, you will see that it is worth it. It is always going to be tricky and tough to find time. It's going to be tricky and tough to do things that you don't necessarily love inherently. But if you make it part of your routine and you're part of your week, you will find that the benefits are great.
I think for me too, I'm a very social person. So, like if I could get to a gym, but I don't live near a gym, like I've got quite a drive to get to a gym.
But most people do.
Yeah.
Most people do. And most people would have very similar, obstacles that they put in their own way here.
But you feel like if you had a friend at the gym,
I agree.
And you meet at the gym and you kind of have a buddy and you look forward to your time together. I mean, even like doing this podcast with you, that's our time to get together, and it's fun. It's nice to be able to catch up with you. So, but I don't have that, so I guess I just have to try and...
But I'm sure, honestly, if you really were serious about it and you looked in your area, there would be, walking groups or
I
you
live
know,
30 minutes from town.
yeah, but still.
And then, to
honestly
drive there,
think-
that's an hour. To drive there and back is an hour. Anyway, we're sidetracking, and this is just Julie and I on a Friday night on the phone, and her
These
trying
are
to tell
the
me.
things that I hear on a daily basis. These are the obstacles that I try and help clients overcome.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, which I've already talked about, mapping these things out and coming up with a plan that you trial at least. If you don't start with something, then you're never going to start. That's really it. So what I wanted to look at as far as, week 3 and where we're up to. So we've talked about all those things, your goals, etc. It's really now, for me, when I'm speaking to clients, it's about, what you put in your cake hole or you don't. So it's really about, it's not rocket science is the way I sort of term it, which is about what you're consuming. And I've said it before, you cannot out-train a bad diet.
Yeah,
and
it's a huge part, like massively huge.
And it's so there's 3 major categories. I mean, I know there's off-spins of all of these, but there's people who want to lose some weight, and there's people who want to gain some weight, and there's people who want to put on lean mass, body mass, which is termed toning and shaping, or increased muscle gain. Yeah.
So are they already fit people, or are they people who are just perhaps born with really good genetics?
No, the third group?
That sort of group that want to tone and everything, because like you see, really nice skinny people.
Well, it comes down to a lot of things like metabolism, etc. So it depends what you aspire to be. So those are the 3 main groups that I get in front of me.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, it's not rocket science here. If you so what I ask every one of those groups to, or any person that sits in front of me, is go and map out. I want you to diarise essentially a week of food. No hold back, nothing. It doesn't matter what you eat or drink. Put it down. Take photos of it. This is not a matter of the blame game or shame. This is a matter of knowing what you put in your mouth, as far as your food and your fluid intake in a week.
Because unless you write it down, you really don't get a sense of how much or what.
Exactly. And most people are really quite shocked at what they see. And I say, like, every bite of chocolate, I had a couple of chips off, my kid's plate, but put it all down and have a look at it. So if we look at each of those groups, we look at people who are, wanting some weight loss, reduction. Yes, they want toning, they want a whole lot of other things, but weight loss. And as I say, it's not rocket science. If you eat more than you use, in energy, etc.,
put on weight.
Exactly. If you eat less than your body needs,
you should lose weight.
You will lose weight, right? And if you don't eat enough of the good stuff, if you're in that kind of third group, you don't eat enough of the good stuff, i.e. protein that I'm always talking about, then you won't build and develop the muscle tone that you want, whether it's a build, whether it's a shape, whatever. You just won't. That applies across the whole lot, but generally that's where we are, and that's how we look at it. So if you're looking at weight loss, my simple rule of thumb here is, after we have a look at what you're eating, I say cut out 80 to 90%, depending, I talk to the individual, but 80 to 90% of the crap. And you know what the crap is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is, the chips, the chocolate.
The iced coffee that I had on the way here.
Cut 80 to, not 100, but 80 to 90% of that out, okay? And you have to be serious with yourself here. Cut that out. And then there's a whole lot of structure to what we do. So, you where you have your meals and all that sort of thing. But 80 to 90% of the crap, gone. Yeah. And then reduce your meal portion sizes by 10 to 15%.
Oh, there was that butter plate diet. Remember, where you had to just the bread and butter plate?
We don't do diets.
Oh, it was the bread and butter.
Yeah. What you can
eat less plan?
Yeah. And I know that when people went to smorgasbords, they can get an incredible amount.
On those tiny little
on the-
plates.
That's right.
Oh my God, I was so
that is
good at
not-
that.
So we don't do diets.
No, we don't do
So
diets.
what we do is healthy eating plans. So look, there's a lot more to this, but essentially, as I said, for weight loss, if you reduce the size by, of the amount that you're eating by about 10 on the good stuff, not the crap that could go. That's right. By 10%, and map that over, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Again, it needs to be looked at from an individual point of view.
Yeah.
But and you're not getting any reduction, then we need to reduce the size of that by another 10 to 15%, and so on. Because if we're doing that several times and you're really not reducing, you're really overeating.
Then you really started at quite a high level.
But I might mention here, I really only look at 10 to 15%, like the increments of those. Because what we want to do is we want to set you up for success, for life here.
Yep.
And just take that back notch by notch. And then there's a whole lot of stuff around that as well. Once we get to certain,
Suppose you don't get sugar withdrawals then. It's just gently.
Well, not exactly what I meant, but
Oh.
then it comes into, there's a whole lot that comes into it. Then once you start to reduce, then we have a maintenance sort of period, and then we might do further reduction, all those sort of things. So it's not just as simple as that, but at the start it is. Yeah. The same thing with people who need to put on weight. It's really, we increase by 10 to 15%. We sort of take out most of the crap, fill it back up with good quality stuff, and just increase the sizes and the amount of times they're eating. And for those who want to maintain but get some nice lean muscle tone, the focus is predominantly around healthy eating. So again, they have to veto the crap as well for the most part. And then, we increase things like clean carbs and predominantly, they focus on protein. But through all of that, we want to maintain, healthy gut, healthy bowel, all that sort of thing. So don't think it's just as simple as that. And sometimes for some, people, we have to introduce some very specific help with dietitians or nutritionists and so forth.
So we're saying for week 3, we've got to start looking at reducing the amount of crap?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to look at your diet, and then it's very individual. Okay. So, but I'm just giving you an idea of how you need to approach it. It really isn't. It doesn't need to be overwhelming, but it does need to be monitored. So need to be careful about that. But at the end of the day, as I said, you eat more than you use, you're going to put on weight.
Yep.
You eat less than you need, you're going to lose weight and continue to. And if you don't eat the right stuff, you're not going to put on lean muscle.
Right.
On tone.
So the takeaway is this week we should write down our stuff
Focus
and
on your
just
diet.
start looking at
This
it.
is focus on diet time. And I mean like critically focus on diet. And when I say that, know exactly what you're eating. As I charmingly put it, what you're putting in your cake hole. Exactly.
I got big one, fits lots in.
Okay. Again, not what I meant. So yeah, that is pretty much where I would be suggesting that we are looking for week 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, that sounds great. There's been some good advice in there, and thank you for basically giving me a psych session.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
We'll do this again
But you know
with a
what?
wine later.
It is. We won't be doing it with wine. That's a macro. Remember?
See, life is hard.
Yeah. And all I can say to you is if someone suggests to you going on doing cottage cheese or anything else, unfriend them.
You're stuck with me and my cottage cheese.
All right. Well, we will be back next week to talk to you about the 4th week of preparation, kind of.
Fit for Fitness. I gave it that name. I thought it was catchy.
Fit for Fitness.
Fit for Fitness.
We'll see you then. Bye.
Evolv the podcast.
Say goodbye to Andrea and Julie.
This episode of Evolv the podcast was co-produced by Julie Saunders and Andrea Wakehart. If you wish to get in contact with the show, please reach out on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, or email evolvethepodcast@gmail.com. That is Evolv with no E. Thanks for listening. Till next time.